Hi there, I'm Steve Dalton, author of The 2-Hour Job Search and Senior Associate Director at the Career Management Center with Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. Prior to joining Fuqua in 2005, I was a strategy consultant with A.T. Kearney, I got my own MBA from Duke, and I was briefly an associate marketing manager at General Mills. There's plenty of intellectual capital out there about how to choose a career and get your resume ready. And on the other hand, there's a lot of information about how to interview well and negotiate offers, but there's nothing really in between that breaks down for a job seeker how to efficiently get that first interview. That's the sole focus of my book, The 2-Hour Job Search, and I accomplish this by splitting that into three main sections. First, prioritize, second, contact, and third, convince. The goal of today's presentation is to introduce you to step one, prioritize, the centerpiece of which is something called the LAMP method. In 70 minutes, I will show you how to generate and prioritize a list of targets that will provide your strategy document for the rest of your job search. When I went back to business school, I really wanted to work for Starbucks headquarters in Seattle. So I put Starbucks on my Excel spreadsheet. I copied and pasted all of the contacts I had available there, their email addresses, their phone numbers, available job postings, deadlines for those job postings. That took about 20 minutes. Then I moved down to the second company on my list, Nike, and I got hungry and went to go get a snack. That wasn't very effective, nor was it efficient. I grabbed much more information than I would ever possibly use. I didn't need 10 contacts at Starbucks. I needed one good one. The LAMP method will help you get around this problem by making you work vertically rather than horizontally. If you work vertically, you can get efficiencies that you can't get otherwise. The problem with fixating on too few employers is that you get what I call artificial desperation. By focusing on too few employers, you really need one of those to work out. And employers are very good at sensing desperation. It's a very unappealing quality. They'd rather have someone who has other lines in the water, who has built-in contingency plans for their job search, because that's a fair estimation of what you're likely to do on the job as well. The first step of the LAMP method, the L step, is to create a list of potential target employers. To do this, in 40 minutes, we're going to use 4 different methods, 10 minutes each, with the goal of getting one potential target employer per minute. The first 10-minute chunk will focus on dream employers. For the second, we'll focus on alumni employers. For the third, we'll focus on Indeed.com employers. And for the fourth and final step, we'll focus on trending employers. Now, dream employers are the ones you always had in mind when you went back to business school. So get them out of your head and put them into your Excel spreadsheet. For me, as I mentioned, it was Starbucks. For you, it might be as well. Maybe you also want to work for Nike and REI, and that's the only ones you can think of. Google those 3 employers to see if they appear on any list together. They're all actually lifestyle companies, so you may find that similar employers will be on lists that might be of interest to you as well. If any apply to you, copy and paste them into your list. It's okay to have more than 10 employers in this 10-minute period, but you want to try to avoid having less. Without a large universe of potential employers, you're going to have artificial desperation. You're going to be fixating on too few possible targets. Once that 10 minutes is up, regardless of how many employers you have, we'll move on to the second step for generating a list of employers, the alumni method. Go into your most recent alumni database and punch in some keywords, marketing or brand, for example. Any employers that you see there that look like they may be interesting to you, copy and paste them into the list. The goal is 10 in 10 minutes. If you see someone has a very interesting job title, but you don't know anything about the employer where they work, copy and paste it anyway. It'll fall out later in the process when we prioritize these employers. It's easier to cut later than it is to add later on. So err on the side of including employers you're not familiar with. All you know is that the location is appealing and the job title is right. Copy and paste them. We'll weed them out later if appropriate. The third step, Indeed.com employers. For the next 10 minutes, I want you to go into Indeed.com and again, punch in some keywords that will be relevant, such as MBA and marketing, if you're looking for a marketing career. I want you to scroll down that list of potential employers. Don't click on those job postings. That's a recipe for disaster. Each one will have 1,000 words of copy about that, describing that job, but that won't actually impact your decision at all. I want you to note that they're hiring and copy and paste the list of any relevant employers into your list. The fourth and final step for generating a list of potential employers is called the trending method. With this, you'll simply go into Google and type in marketing trends if you're pursuing a marketing career. For the next 10 minutes, I just want you to read articles that are interesting to you about trends going on in the marketing world. However, anytime you come across an employer who's doing something interesting, I want you to copy and paste that employer's name into your lamp list. If you're going to come up short of 10 employers in 10 minutes, it's usually going to be with this step rather than the other 3. But the important thing is that you're learning over this 10 minutes. You're reading for education. You're getting smarter about the business you're trying to enter, and that's very, very important. Also important, if this employer was harder for you to discover, it's harder for everyone else to discover as well. So there will be less competition at these employers because they were harder to find. Now that we've generated a list of employers, we're going to fill in the A, M, and P columns of the lamp list. A stands for alumni, and it's a proxy for the likelihood of finding a sympathetic contact at our target employers. M is for motivation, and it's a proxy for our willingness to put in the effort required to do informational interviews at all of our target employers. Postings, the final column, is a proxy for the time sensitivity of getting in touch with a particular employer. So let's focus on the alumni column first. This is simply a column of yeses and nos, and we'll give any employer that has an alum in our most recent alumni database a yes. And if our alumni database has no alums at that employer, we'll give that a no. We're only going to be using our most recent alumni database. There's no reason to use multiple databases yet. We'll go back on an as-needed basis to do that later. So the important thing is you stay focused. This is a repetitive, monotonous process, but it should only take you 10 minutes if you stay focused. So 10 minutes later, we'll have 2 columns filled in, our list column and our alumni column. Now it's time to focus on the motivation column. The motivation column is my favorite because it's the shortest. Now remember, this is a proxy for our willingness to put in the effort to do informational interviews with these target employers. So it's simply a qualitative score that combines everything that you think and feel about these potential employers, knowing what you know now. So there's no additional research here. This process should take only 5 minutes, and it should be your gut feeling for each of these employers. Your dream employers, you'll make a 5. Your second tier employers, you'll make a 4. Your third tier employers, you'll make a 3. Now the employers you know enough to not like, we're going to make those a 2, but we're going to reserve 1s for employers that you don't know enough about to have a qualified opinion. That doesn't mean we research those employers right now, it's a placeholder. On an as-needed basis, we'll go back later and do research to see what the appropriate motivation score would be. That should take only 5 minutes, so with our remaining 15 minutes, we're going to fill in the posting column, our 4th and final column. For this, we're going to go back into Indeed.com, and we're going to use a list of keywords that give us a sense for how time-sensitive getting in touch with that employer is based on their current level of hiring activity. Indeed.com is great at a number of things. It's actually terrible at getting you a job. So we're not actually going to be applying to postings through Indeed.com. We're just using it for the meta information, the information about information. It lets us know who's hiring right now, and that's the important thing. Are they financially stable enough and interested in people like you? If so, that's a higher priority target than one that's not doing any job advertising right now. So I want you to go to the first employer on your list, Nike, type in Nike, MBA, and marketing, for example, and if you find any relevant matches, make that a yes. If you don't find any relevant matches, call that a no and move on to the next row. REI, repeat the process, change REI for Nike, hit enter, yes you have postings or no you don't, and so on. So now we've completed our lamp list. In 70 minutes we've found 3 pieces of data that are predictive of job search success for each of our top 40 employers that we've generated. Now it's time to sort that list to see who our top targets are. Go into Excel's sort function and sort first by motivation, high to low, second by postings, yes to no, and third by alumni, yes to no. Motivation will be our most important search criteria because it is the engine that drives this process forward. Without your willingness to put in the work to do informational interviews, you won't make progress, you won't get interviews. So that has to be the first step by which we sort our potential target employers. Now within that top group of most motivating employers, we're going to focus on the subset that have quality postings available right now. These employers are most time sensitive. It's more important to target those employers that are hiring for jobs you want right now than those that are not doing any advertising for job postings right now. Now within that group of employers we find both highly motivating and currently hiring, we'll focus first on that segment of those employers where we have sympathetic contacts, where we already have an alumni contact available. These are the fastest ones to get to approach because we already know who we can start with there. So with that list sorted, now we know if we only have time to approach 5 employers, because you're all busy right now, we'll approach numbers 1 through 5. If you only have time to approach 10 employers, it should be 1 through 10, not only do you find them most motivating, but they provide the most indicators of likely success. So it makes sense to start with those, and if you can get around to those lower on your list later, great. We just don't want to miss out on our dream employers while they're available. Thank you again for your time, and good luck.